Welcome to another edition of Unmarked Talk Wrestling. This week we're going to be taking a look at some of the top storylines, seeing where they are and where they may be going. Also, as a side note, I did post a show reviewing the results of WWE's No Way Out pay-per-view, but apparently WWE didn't approve of it because they had it removed from YouTube. Hopefully this won't happen again. So let's take a look at what's happening in wrestling this week and get to a few of your questions later on in the show. We'll begin with Monday Night Raw. At this past Sunday's pay-per-view, WWE's No Way Out, Edge lost his WWE title in the SmackDown Elimination Chamber. He, however, went on to injure Kofi Kingston and take his place in the Raw Elimination Chamber match, which he went on to win and become the World Heavyweight Champion. He opened up Raw this week by coming out with Vicky Guerrero, and they both basically said that he had a right to be the World Heavyweight Champion because he was in that match, and because Stephanie McMahon wasn't at the pay-per-view following what happened with Orton and Shane. She was the highest-ranking member of the WWE there, and it was her decision to put Edge into that match, and he is the rightful holder of the World Heavyweight title. John Cena came out to challenge Edge to a match. Edge kind of backed out of the match, saying he was too tired from competing in 2 elimination chambers, but it seems like they're starting to build up a storyline which is going to probably be John Cena versus Edge at Wrestlemania 25 for the World Heavyweight title. As was expected at No Way Out, Shawn Michaels won his freedom from JBL by winning the match. As I said, this was expected. I don't think there was anyone who watches wrestling who thought even for one instant that JBL was going to win that match. Following this, the next night on Monday Night Raw, JBL comes out and basically says that he wants to challenge The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25 and that he's finally going to end his undefeated streak. Shawn Michaels came out saying he wants to challenge The Undertaker, and basically now it's come down to there's going to be a match between Shawn Michaels and JBL, the winner of which earns the right to face The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25. Frankly, I don't think either of these guys has the right to defeat The Undertaker and end his streak. I think it should be a younger superstar. So I would think whoever's going to go and face him at 25 is probably going to lose the match. And I also have to wonder why these two would be competing for the right to go up against a guy like The Undertaker. If you really look at it, kayfabe, why would anybody want to put themselves into a match at WrestleMania 25 against The Undertaker, an undefeated monster? But I guess they don't really know what to do with JBL and Shawn Michaels following their storyline. This kind of helps them continue their feud a little bit, but it seems from rumors backstage that it's going to be Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25, so it's a safe bet to say Shawn's going to win the match against JBL. In recent weeks, we've had the storyline running of Chris Jericho talking negatively about Mickey Rourke, and WWE legends like Ric Flair coming out to challenge him about it. Now, from what I've gathered, they want Mickey Rourke against Chris Jericho at WrestleMania 25, but Rourke won't sign on to a match because he thinks it's going to hurt his chances at winning an Oscar this Sunday. So really, following the Sunday's Oscars, we'll see whether or not that match is going to happen. Either way, Rourke's going to be at WrestleMania 25 in some capacity. Now, last week, they had Ric Flair come out and basically smack Chris Jericho around a little bit, telling him he has no right to talk shit about the legends. This week, Rowdy Piper came out to confront Jericho and really cut an amazing promo on him. I thought it was tremendous, the things that he had to say. Piper still has it when it comes to talking on the mic, but Jericho turned it around and really beat the hell out of Rowdy Piper. Rumor has it that this is all building up, that if Rourke can't compete in the match, they want to put Jericho against the ultimate WWE Legends at 25, which would be Jericho against Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 25. I don't know how I feel about that, because I don't think Hogan has what it takes to really compete in a great match, and I don't know if it's worthy of WrestleMania 25. I think it's an interesting storyline, and I'd much rather see Jericho go against somebody else, but if it comes down to Jericho and Hogan, I'm sure people are still going to pay to see that match. Now, the most interesting storyline running on Monday Night Raw right now is Randy Orton and Legacy against the McMahon family. At No Way Out, Randy Orton successfully defeated Shane McMahon in their no-holds-barred match. Shane McMahon shows up on Raw challenging Randy Orton to a unsanctioned match at the end of Raw, which is supposed to just be between the two of them. And it wasn't a bad match. But, of course, Legacy ended up coming out when Shane McMahon had the upper hand, which I think is a joke in itself. I really think they're making Orton look weak by time and time again having Shane McMahon really be able to compete at a level with him where he's winning the matches. Even though he ends up losing them, he's controlling them. Legacy came out beat up Shane McMahon, and then Randy Orton punted him. And what's going to turn into a great storyline is Stephanie McMahon came out and was on the receiving end of an RKO from Orton. Now, of course, Triple H shows up. That's his wife. And Triple H had such a look on his face. It was great acting, how angry he looked with Randy Orton for what happened. And, of course, this is building for what's going to be a WWE title match at WrestleMania 25, Triple H against Randy Orton. I think that has a potential to be an amazing match. I can't wait to see it. But I have to say, I really believe that Randy Orton should be the one to win that match. He's the top heel on Raw right now. He needs to have the title because, in most cases, a show is better when it's a heel carrying the belt. And I quite frankly, am really looking forward to seeing this match. I think the storyline is finally starting to come together, and I can't wait to see how Triple H reacts to it. They had a little bit of an interview with him on SmackDown this past Friday, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens on Raw, and it's going to be even more interesting to see what kind of a WrestleMania match this builds up into. Moving to SmackDown, I think you've got two kind of interesting storylines going on there right now. Edge shows up on SmackDown with the title, and now Jeff Hardy came out to challenge him for it. They ended up having a match which Jeff ended up winning by disqualification because Matt Hardy came out and interfered in a match and gave Jeff the twist of fate. Now, to me, it seemed like Jeff should have had a title shot at WrestleMania 25, but now they're going to build this into this Jeff versus Matt storyline, and I think that's going to be an amazing WrestleMania 25 match, and it also provides room for Edge to face John Cena at WrestleMania 25. I think this storyline's coming along pretty well. Next week, it's supposed to be Jeff Hardy against Matt Hardy. That's not going to happen. Jeff's going to somehow get out of that match because you don't want to have that match before WrestleMania 25. You don't want to take any of the heat away from it. You want to save that for WrestleMania. I think it's going to be an amazing match. I can't wait to see what happens with that. Now, for reasons I can't really explain to you because I don't quite know myself, I'm kind of becoming a fan of Vladimir Kozlov, and I thought they pulled off something pretty interesting this week. Vicky Guerrero came out and basically said neither Shawn Michaels nor JBL has the right to challenge The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25 because he's a SmackDown superstar. She said the number one contender should be Vladimir Kozlov because he's the only undefeated superstar in the WWE right now. Vladimir Kozlov came out and gave a little speech on a microphone basically saying it's his match and he's going to be on Raw on Monday to either face JBL or Shawn Michaels or both of them. He's going to try and do something to knock them out of the running, but in my opinion, it's still going to be Shawn Michaels going against The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25, although I would like to see them do something with Vladimir Kozlov because, like I said, I'm becoming a fan of the guy. Moving on to ECW. Last week we got the great return of the instant classic Christian Cage. I thought it was kind of a bad idea to put Christian Cage onto ECW. It's not really their top show. And rumor backstage is originally he was going to turn out to be the one who had been attacking Jeff Hardy, and it was going to be Jeff Hardy Christian at WrestleMania 25. However, it leaked out on the internet, and Vince McMahon apparently isn't that big of a fan of Christian Cage, so it got switched around. Now he's on ECW challenging Jack Swagger for the ECW title. They had a tag team match this week of Christian and Finlay against Mark Henry and Jack Swagger. It wasn't a bad match. Christian pulled off some cool moves and is the first person so far to get out of Jack Swagger's finisher, that gut-wrench powerbomb that he does. I'm looking forward to seeing where the storyline goes, although I really have to say I'm not a fan of Christian being on ECW. I could see putting him there to jack up the ratings a little bit, but I think he should have been brought in with a bigger storyline, with a bigger boom. I hope in the future to see Christian move to either SmackDown or Raw and see him compete against some of the top competitors, or just imagine what a great storyline it could be of a Christian against Edge for a world title. That would be amazing. But for now, things are okay with the way they are. Maybe we'll see a bigger move come after WrestleMania, because to do it now would have changed too many storylines leading into the event, and I can understand not wanting to do that. But I'm a big fan of Christian Cage. I think he's a great worker, and I hope to see him win the ECW title from Jack Swagger.